But it's about time people started realizing that Michael Pittman Jr. is a receiver of the future in Indianapolis. I'm probably playing my hand right now because obviously I'm going to put in the bid for him again.
Ahmed got the chance to be the feature back in this past week. He didn't disappoint really. 21 totes, 85 yards, a touchdown.
Russell Wilson has been really cold lately. They're letting him cook, but he's allowing the food to get cold. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Week 11 in the Indecision Cave. I'm your host, Ryan Grace, and I'm joined by the three best co-hosts around. Trader Joe is in the building.
What's up?
We got Justin, who was talking real spicy in our last episode, but doesn't look too hot. Justin, how you holding up, man?
You're still regular. We here, baby. 1 week at a time.
There you go. And Ashton, our commissioner. What's good, Ace?
Yo, Eagles stink, bro. We stink.
Yeah, the Eagles made Wayne Gallman look like someone that every fantasy owner should have started this last week, man.
Should he be in our waiver wire pickup? Come on, fam.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Wayne Gallman looked great. But again, per usual, that's someone who's already been picked up in our league. So let's go around the horn real quick and let's talk about our matchups. We'll start with Trader Joe, who has some good news despite all of the wheeling and dealing he's done in the past few weeks. Joe, talk to us, man.
I'm on a winning streak. Yeah, I'm on a winning streak. Somehow I pulled off the victory again. I say it every week, was trading my first round pick, second round pick, and others. But Lamar Jackson helped carry my team, 21 points. As even though it's not the season that he's had last year, he's still solid because he can run. And really, I really didn't have any great performance. Just my opponent scored all of 65 points. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got the win, which, as we've noted, is crazy based on some of the moves that you've made. But he did put up 64 points, and so you get to walk away with the victory. I'm looking at your team, and Lamar Jackson definitely had an okay performance, did slightly better than his projection, but almost everyone else, Joe, fell under projection. You had a huge game out of the Saints defense as they handled the 49ers. And
was he on your defensive gurus list?
Was the Saints on the defense list? We'll revisit that after the commercial break to make sure that we can tidy that up. I would venture and guess that they were.
Okay. And fans will be referring to is Ryan apparently has this secret guru guy who he won't share with the world, who's pretty consistent in sharing who the top defenses are for that week, and they may not be the obvious ones that a lot of analysts put out there.
Yeah, no, he does a really good job. I'll tell you this much. Overall, the Washington football team was like the consensus top 7 defense. And he had them a little bit further down. And if I had just gone with his pick in a few of my other leagues, I would have been in a better position. Let me just say that much. So he's okay. He helped me with the Patriots and the Jaguars a few years ago. So we're all in on whatever he says. Justin, I gotta talk to you, man.
What's up?
To you.
We here, man. What's up?
We had you in the matchup of the week 3 weeks in a row. You're just rolling through teams, and you ran into the Mahandalorian, man. His team came to play, and so talk to us. What's going on? Do you have a shot? How's it looking? Should you be nervous?
I mean, nah, no nervousness. I mean, typically you get the Blaze Belichick treatment from my team, but this week with Pat Mahomes out, it was more like Blaze O'Brien. So we didn't have much of a shot with our star player out. On top of that, A.J. Brown on a short week, he only gave me 3 points. On the Thursday night game, the Colts defense held up, so that was good. But then once Sunday came, Philip Lindsay, as we were stating off camera, the Denver Broncos, they're not really keen on running now for some reason. On top of that, I picked Drew Lock as my quarterback, and we saw that performance was something for the toilet. And then the Browns with Jarvis Landry, I don't understand what's going on, but they're just not prospering. I guess bad weather on top of Baker Mayfield's play. So it was a struggling week, but we'll just get back to the drawing board and see what's up going forward.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your team is still super strong. Your two running backs combined for more than 40 points between the two of them, Alvin Kamara and James Robinson. You were without the best fantasy quarterback in the league. I mean, you still got a stranglehold on first place, and should make some noise for the rest of the year. You faced a team that went off, right? Kyler Murray balled out, Josh Jacobs balled out, DeAndre Swift balled out. So it was an uphill battle, especially without your star player. So Ant Mahan will probably, or is going to improve to 6-4, which has him probably in second place, based on scoring and those kind of things. So he'll be in a good position, and I think you'll still be the trailblazer leading us as we head into Week 11's matchups. And
he is the number one scoring team in our league.
Mahan is.
Yeah.
The guy's team is putting up points week after week. Ashton, we know that this was a big one for you as you continue your ascent and your attempt to try to make the playoffs. How'd you do in Week 10?
Well, the game is still going on, so just praying and hoping that the boys can bring home a win. We're currently up by 19 points. I have Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen going. He has Kyle Rudolph and Chicago's defense. So the more my guys score, the less his defense gives him points. So it's looking like we're going to meet ourselves at 500, Lord willing. So that'll put us at the number 6th spot. As we speak right now, I'm the second highest scoring team in our league. Don't know how the outcome will look. But yeah, man, we looking to make the playoffs, come at the 6th seed, just keep on moving up. That's all we got to do. Just keep on moving up.
Yeah. Any strong performances or anything noteworthy from your squad?
Russell Wilson has been really cold lately. I know he did well from a fantasy perspective last week, but he's throwing a ton of interceptions. I think each game he's averaging at least 2 interceptions. They're letting him cook, but he's allowed the food to get cold. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays itself out. Of course, DK had a really tough matchup with Jalen Ramsey, and we saw Jalen Ramsey put him pretty much on bottles. So it didn't look too good for Russell. He's been without his best running back. So, of course, teams are probably eyeing in on like, okay, he just has to throw, which I'm assuming is why his production has been so low. So hopefully he gets Chris Carson back. Hopefully, for me, he gets Chris Carson back because Chris Carson is on my bench waiting to get into a starting lineup. But Antonio Gibson did well from a fantasy perspective, right? He didn't do too well running the ball, but he got into the end zone twice. So that helped us out. And T. Higgins continues to just blow my mind. He's just, I mean, it's like Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. You don't talk about A.J. Green anymore, but those two receivers are looking to be Joe Burrow's targets for the future. That offense is going to be very much dynamic once they get a good offensive line and once they get Joe Mixon back. But, yeah, those are the two dudes that really kind of stood out. Actually, yeah, those are really two dudes. Cooper Kupp and Adam Thielen are kind of just doing their regular I don't know type of performance, but those two ball out.
I wanted to bring 2 things before we get too far. One is what Ace brought up is he's waiting on Chris Carson to come back. So I traded Chris Carson to Ace when it was, kind of in the era of how long he would be out. And Mahan, what he said is if he was in my situation, he might have waited to get a few more wins before trading because we're in a semi-dynasty league. But my reason for pulling the trigger now instead of getting more wins and then waiting until the playoffs or whatever, or before the playoffs to trade him is 2 things. One, if someone is interested, they can always change their mind. Especially in our league, we have people change their mind all the time. And number 2, injuries could happen. So If you have a trade partner in the dynasty league, and someone is interested, I I would just pull the trigger because you never know. Like he could, that player could tear their ACL one game and now that trade partner is gone. So pull that trigger. The second thing was Justin brought up weather in his segment. So I had just a question to you guys. Does weather and the location of a football team, let's say New England, they always have crazy weather and such. Does that ever factor into who you draft and who you pick up depending on the weather of the team that they where they play?
For me, not necessarily drafting wise, but when I'm looking at if I'm going against like I don't know who to start or sit, especially with receivers, I'll definitely look at what the weather's looking like. If it's gonna be trash, I'm probably gonna go with the receiver that's playing in a dome, and that's kind of what happened with Noah Fant and Austin Hooper. I was trying to figure out who to pick and choose. None of them really played well. But I went with Noah Fant because he was playing indoors, and he ended up having a better day than Austin Hooper, given to what we saw in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Just please go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was gonna just echo what Ace said. Most of the time, it's more of a weekly matchup thing. So if there's gonna be like a monsoon rainstorm, obviously you don't want to pick that quarterback. You probably want to pick the running back if that for that matchup. But it's hard to tell like during draft time whether teams would affect who you're drafting.
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys are spot on, at least from my perspective. When it comes to the draft, I'm trying to pick the very best players, regardless of where they play, with the hope that they're the best player and they're going to kind of tough it out in those tougher situations. But I agree with Ashton when it comes to who's in a dome and who's not, and I'm going between people that are close enough, right? Like Michael Thomas versus me for a wide receiver. It doesn't matter where Michael Thomas is playing or what the elements are. I'm gonna play him kind of thing, right? And I'm just picking two people who are an example, right? But if it's Noah Fant versus Austin Hooper, then those kind of things could put you in the position to win a matchup. And Ashton would have won regardless, but that kind of thing.
Right. I'll add in because I was watching the Patriots versus the Ravens game, and I thought to myself, man, this ring looks pretty bad, but I'm happy to know I have a running quarterback where they may be more inclined to run in these type of situations, or is it snow or something like that. So I was like, next year I wonder if I should factor that into my decision making. So we'll see, but all the more reason to get you a running quarterback because their baseline is weatherproof.
There you go.
And just Ryan, I know we're about to get to your matchup because you have an intriguing one at the moment. But just real fast, also with Joe Wright, if he waited a little bit longer on selling on Chris Carson, the value would have went down because you continue to see Chris Carson's out. We don't know if he's going to play. So with me, it was just kind of like Chris Carson is a game time decision. I don't want to play against Chris Carson. I'd rather have him on my team. And whether he's a game time decision or not, I still had Antonio Gibson and Damian Harris. So I have two running backs that can fill that spot. So it's just like I can pull this trigger and let him sit on my bench if he needs to get healthy. But if Joe waited a week or two, the value on Chris Carson would have definitely – I probably got a better steal for him. But I didn't want to lose to Joe like Rax did this week. So I had to try to pull the trigger as soon as I could.
Yeah, 100%. I think from your perspective, it was obviously a great trade, and Joe got some value with draft picks next year. So I think overall it was a pretty good trade. Just Ashton, to hit on your statement about Russell Wilson. Through the first 3 games of the season, Russell Wilson 14 touchdowns and 1 interception since week 3. So that's 6 games, 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. 9 interceptions. So, I mean, he's definitely he's still cooking, right? 28 touchdowns is nothing to be down about. But maybe defenses are keying in a little bit more on his receivers. Obviously, without Chris Carson, that kind of situation, maybe they're just zeroing in on DK, which then, again, while we're all playing checkers, Blaise Belichick is playing chess, ladies and gentlemen.
Right,
Oh,
and he's throwing ridiculous interceptions, like just throwing the ball up to double cut. Like he's just doing a whole lot. But side note off of Russell, because I'm over my team, and him giving me 9 points. Let's talk about someone who's right now, I think, at like 8.4 points that you're going against. And the goal is to get to 110 for your opponent. So help us understand what's going on with your matchup this week.
Man, the race to 110. I'm taking on Eugene, who coming into the matchup is 5-4. I'm 4-5, and I just want to stay alive in this playoff hunt right now. We're up by 20 points, and while we're recording the show, he has Allen Robinson going, and through the first quarter and a half, he's got 7 fantasy points. So we're okay. And I think the biggest thing was that he started Travis Fulgham, who over the past few weeks has been playing very well for Philadelphia, and he put up a 1.8. And who he had on his bench was Marvin Jones Jr., who put up 23.5 points or closer to 24 points. And that right there is the swap that needs to win him the game. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because I believe last week said that was his definite start.
Yes, sir.
Once it's been
sir. Travis, full grown man, full grown.
And if you followed the show at all, you know that Blaise O'Brien has said fade Marvin Jones completely. So I wonder, as one of our biggest listeners, if Eugene kind of played that in his head, had his numbers on phone, had his thoughts on Marvin Jones, and went with it, right? And that's not to say that wasn't the right decision. Hindsight is 20/20. Obviously, this is longest, but just going into it. But that's huge, right? Like we're gonna see in the Coach of the Year rankings that's gonna put him in a really bad ranking this week. Huge for him from the standpoint that at 6-4, he's top 4, maybe. I'm not looking at the standings right now, but probably top 4. And instead, he's gonna be 5-5 and likely on the outside looking in because Ashton's going to be 5-5 with more points than him. So a big swing. We're just happy to still be at 5-5, be hovering in that 7-8 range, and be able to make a push with Calvin Ridley hopefully coming back. Both of my running backs off of their bye weeks, like we're able to do the best that we can, put our best foot forward and make a push here.
And it seems like you and me both were lucky to have coaches that left someone in their lineup, as Nyheim Hines was also on Deli's bench.
Yeah, Nyheim Hines went off. And I again, someone who watches the show, Joe has just destroyed Hines since his week 1 went off. Joe got him in week 2. He didn't do him well, and Joe has just not been a fan since. So maybe
you never know when to start him. You never know.
You never know. Then he goes for 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, 28.5 points.
And the workload is almost split evenly between the 3 backs. Like, dude.
Yeah, I agree. What I was disappointed about in my team, and I wasn't exactly expecting this to happen, but was more hopeful than anything, was, again, I was without CEH, without Gurley, without Le'Veon Bell, so I'm down to just hitting the waiver wire for running backs. And so I got Duke Johnson, and as the week keeps going on and on, we find out David Johnson's not going to play. And so his projection gets up to 15 points, 15.5 points, at least on ESPN PPR League, our scoring format. So I was expecting at least double digits. He put up 5.4 points. So that's just like a huge letdown to be a third of your projection. I wasn't expecting all 15 of them. I don't know if he scored 15 in a game this whole season, but I was much more optimistic. And then obviously we're trading Hollywood Brown for literally anything. That guy has got to go. If you want Hollywood Brown, reach out to me. He's just not being used in the offense. I watched the game yesterday. Lamar targets him on tough throws.
Yep.
It seems like he really, really loves Mark Andrews and Willie Snead. Those are his guys. and then Hollywood Brown is like the take the top off, and Lamar doesn't have the touch this season, and so the top stays on.
Hey man, I got 2 Starbursts and a rubber band, so let me know what you're trying to do.
He's yours, man. He's yours. He's yours. So, congratulations, everybody on this call won them. Oh shoot, no, dang it, almost everybody won their matchup. Dang.
Next week.
That hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to hit you with some waiver wire pickups, players that you should be looking at to make your team a little bit better. Week 11 within the Indecision Cave. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Week 11 within the Indecision Cave. And we're going to go around the horn real quick and hit you with some waiver wire pickups to help your team get a little bit better for the late season playoff push. Ashton, who are you looking at signing this week off the waiver wire?
Dang, I was hoping you'd go to me next. I wanted to figure out when I drafted this player. So this particular player, and I'm trying to see if I can find it. I don't think I will. I think it was I think I probably drafted him in maybe the 12th or 13th round this past year, and ended up dropping him after he got hurt. And now I'm wishing I never did, and kind of kept him in my IR spot, but I was trying to make a push for playoffs, so people had to drop. And I picked him up again last week and then had to drop him for a tight end. But it's about time people started realizing that Michael Pittman Jr. is a receiver of the future in Indianapolis. I'm probably playing my hand right now because obviously I'm going to put in a bid for him again. But he's been balling the past 2 weeks. Last week, 7 targets. I think the week before that he had 1, but he was coming off an injury. So he's had 15 targets the past 2 weeks, 7 last week, 8 this week. So he has a total of 36 targets on the year. That's middle of the pack, and he's missed several games. Last week he had 9.6 points. This week he had 19.2, so he had 7 receptions for 101 yards. The only issue that I see is he's not getting to the end zone. So he hasn't had a touchdown at all this season. So his points are coming just off of receptions and yards. And with Phillip Rivers, who's been kind of targeting and finding people here and there and not really having like a 1-2, like a premier go-to target, it's hard, but I think it's about time you gave him some respect, and he should be rostered in more leagues. I'm not sure how many leagues he's rostered in at the moment, but definitely someone you want to keep your eye on, your radar on. In my other league, I'm pretty sure he's not on someone's roster, so I'll go ahead and try to snag him there, but it might be a little bit difficult in our league right now. But Michael Pittman Jr., drafted him, I believe, in the 12th or 13th round, so someone I had on my radar since the offseason. Tall guy. So, yeah, that's my
I'm going to go with Salvon Ahmed from the Miami Dolphins. Heading into this past week's matchup, I thought with Myles Gaskin's knee injury, Breida wasn't playing. Jordan Howard he's just not been good, right? Like they waived him. That's how bad he's been playing. Like he got waived. Adios, senor. Ahmed got the chance to be the feature back in this past week. He didn't disappoint really. 21 totes, 85 yards, a touchdown. Can't ask for much more unless it was Le'Veon Bell there. So we're still salty about that. Wish he had chosen that team. But regardless, Salvon Ahmed, I think he's going to get you another week or two of just relevance, because once Breida comes back, he'll end up getting the love again, I'm assuming. So try to pick him up this week, maybe get a victory heading into the big week 12, week 13 matchups. And who knows, maybe if Breida doesn't bounce back, they keep giving him the love, and makes a little name for himself. So
it's another call out to these undrafted rookie running backs, right? I think James Robinson's another one. These dudes are just coming out knowing they're balling, and it just shows their work ethic. So props out to him. I know I think he got drafted by the Rams or something like that. So I think he was in the 49ers. So he's had himself a journey. So big props to Holmes, man. For real.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it also just kind of goes to the detriment of running backs, right? Like, you don't have to draft a running back with the top 5 pick. when you know that you end up with guys like he's not a household name or anything, but right, like you can get James Robinson, you can get Salvon Ahmed, you can get these guys later on in the draft, and we're seeing the changing of the guard where everybody's taking these wide receivers. Michael Pittman was a late second rounder, mid second rounder. Everybody's drafting pass catchers. It's just the way of the league. So that's who I'm going with this week. Hopefully he stays hot, gets you a W heading into the playoff push. Trader Joe, who you looking at, man?
I'm glad you came right to me, because on that note about Ahmed, I am the breeder owner, and I actually thought he was going to play this week, but I think it came out just a couple days before Sunday that he wasn't because of a hamstring issue. They think he could return this week, but not for sure. So please, if you're going to go after Ahmed, keep an eye on Breida, because that might heavily influence his output. My waiver pick is Taysom Hill, the quarterback / tight end for the Saints. To this day, of course, it's probably gamemanship, but the head coach has not said whether it's going to be Taysom Hill or what's his face, the W. Jameis. Now it's probably going to be Jameis, but there's a chance it won't, because they pay Taysom, and you can see that they obviously trust him. They take Breeze out of the game a number of times. This is a Hall of Fame quarterback to put Taysom in. But we've seen him before that not only does he pass, not only does he run, but he also catches the ball as well. So I would stash him. I wouldn't throw him in your lineup unless he is the starter. But I imagine those packages might come down because he'll essentially be the backup quarterback. But just keep an eye, because I think it's high upside when you can run, pass, and catch. Now, I'll read a tweet real quick from Matthew Berry just to keep tabs on the situation. So Taysom Hill has been given quarterback eligibility effective immediately. He currently qualifies at tight end. If Hill plays primarily at quarterback, using snap count data, and our team sees that continuing, we reserve the right to remove his tight end eligibility. So just keep tabs on that. But I would stash him, and you might get someone high upside, especially at the tight end position if they keep those packages going. That would be legit.
I like it. Little like a trick player, right?
Yeah.
And see what you can get out of him.
Right.
Justin, I'm going to finish it off with you, my man. Who do you got this week?
So for this week, I'm going with Devontae Booker, backup running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. Mostly because, number one, if you've had Josh Jacobs this year, you've been kind of in your feelings up and down. He's been good, but not up to, first round potential that you expected compared to last year. What I'm seeing with the Raiders is that they're looking to, I guess, give him some relief. So with these past couple games after their bye week, Devontae's been playing a little bit more. This past week, he's put up 2 touchdowns. Week before, he had a good outing, 12 points fantasy-wise. And I like their schedule going forward. Just some teams that are on their schedule for the remainder of the season. We got the Falcons. We have the Chargers. We have Kansas City. We have Denver. Oh, and we got the Jets. So, go pick them up. You might have a good outing. Yeah, man. Hey, when you go against the Jets, you have a field day. So, Devontae Booker.
There you go. So we like Devontae Booker. It's interesting timing, Justin, though, with Josh Jacobs coming off of like a big. I think he had more than 25 fantasy points. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. I do feel the same way that he hasn't. For some reason, I feel like he hasn't been like as hot as he was last year. And so I like this one. But just interesting timing off of the big week. So we'll see how that pans out. We're the show that gives you the knowledge that you need. We're ahead of the curve. We got Blaze Belichick in the building, so ride it out with us. Fellas.
Real fast on that note, though, Josh Jacobs did ball out, but to Justin's point, Devontae Booker had 21 fantasy points. That's better than a lot of people that we started in our own league.
A lot.
Right. My two starting running backs combined for less than that. So, and probably like two of my receivers. If you
you might as well add a
yeah, like if it wasn't for Cole Beasley and Tom Brady, we'd be having a different conversation.
Cole Beasley, man.
Cole Beasley, man. I told you.
Real fast, just wanted to call out. I think we can start saying Ronald Jones is grasping a little bit more of the share in that RB committee backfield. But like we said on our last podcast, you don't really know what's going on in that bucket. Like you might think, oh, Leonard Fournette has it. And when you do, nope, it's Ronald Jones. So once again, if you can stay clear of a decision of having to pick one of those two running backs, by all means, because it's always going to be up in the air. You'll never know who's the right one to pick. Like literally, you'll never know. Here's what it is. But Justin's happy about it.
Yeah,
as long as they're running the ball, that's all I ask.
And Joe, do you have anything you want to end us with?
I guess it's just on a personal note. I feel better. It feels good when at first you trade a player and you gave the best player you may have given $1 for 2 50-cent pieces, and that's what I did with Michael Thomas. And sometimes you check in on that player like, man, are they killing it? Man, I feel pretty good for trading Michael Thomas. Man, what does he have? Less than 20 points on the league the year so far? Like that's crazy. I'm sure Michael Thomas is still Michael Thomas, but it just hasn't been there. So for the other Michael Thomas owners out there, I feel with you. I don't know what's going on, but it's just fantasy football.
Joe keeping tabs on his exes like a true R&B singer. I respect it.
I love it. I love that he said it's just fantasy football, man. You can never predict what it's going to be. You can just hope to kind of ride the wave as best as possible. Michael Thomas has been nasty the last, 3-4 years. And then this year, just injury, Drew Brees getting hurt. The Saints kind of on offense. Just loving our guy Kamara.
Yeah. So much love to Kamara. I guess next year will be interesting if he keeps that up. Will he be the 1.1 at the top of the draft over CMC? That would be interesting.
100%. We got so much more time before we get there. In fact, we have another episode this week where we'll have some guests on the show. We'll talk matchup of the week. We'll probably talk coach of the year. We'll talk starts and sits within the Indecision Cave.
That's good.